Backup unavailable. You have a green light to engage.
Enemy terminated. Proceed to next sector.
Hello Fifis and Collectors, this is me, Daniel East 12,000, back again with another Star Wars The Black Series figure review, and today we've got a bit of a bumper episode for you today, as we're going to be having a look at 4 Gaming Greats figures. These are all from a little video game called Republic Commando, a highly popular video game released in 2005. It's a first-person shooter, which was also re-released more recently on PS4 and Nintendo Switch. Delta Squad, of which the game follows, are a group of 4 Republic Commandos. You play as boss and can indirectly control squad mates' actions by issuing different commands, allowing for levels and situations to be approached in different ways. The series spawned multiple books by Karen Travis, of whom is a New York Times bestseller, if that means anything to anyone. Delta Squad had a brief cameo in a later season of Star Wars The Clone Wars, and even more recently, RC-1262, aka Scorch, appeared in the Bad Batch. This isn't the first time that we've had figures of Delta Squad. In 3¾ inch, there were 2 different box sets of these guys released, one in the Saga collection and another in the blue Captain Rex packaging. I feel like both of these were Toys R Us exclusives, and they're highly sought after. Scorch was the only one to have a single figure release. In the Saga collection, lucky boy there, and in terms of the Clone Wars, Boss actually had an individual figure released as well. So finally, we have these guys in 6-inch scale. Boss, Sev, Fixer, and Scorch released in that order. As always, we're going to take a look at the packaging first, then the figures themselves. Of course, as always, you've got this bevel edge packaging with lovely artwork of each of the characters. Quite interesting to note though, on Scorch's packaging, they've made him look quite big compared to the rest when you put them all together, which is kind of weird. But actually, when you put all the boxes together with the other figures in the line, you do get this quite nice mural. It would have been nice if all the characters were to corresponding numbers to avoid having breakout between each one, to have them all together. But unfortunately, we didn't get that, so make of that as what you will. As you'll notice, you've got that Gaming Greats blue running at the bottom, seeping into the artwork, and the name of the characters at the very bottom there. Looking at the front of the packaging, here's where we're going to have issues for carded collectors. So the first 3 figures are in the old style packaging, and then the more recently released Scorch is in that new blind box style. So if you're wanting to have a full complete set boxed that you can see in the packaging, you're not going to have that with Scorch. And it kind of looks a little mishmashed when you have them all together as a complete set boxed, which is kind of unfortunate. Nonetheless though, you've got Star Wars The Black Series at the top. In the instances that apply, windowed packaging so you can see the figures, and also the Gaming Greats sticker. Naturally, Scorch has a picture of the figure on the box there, name of the media that they're from with that blue bar highlighting this, and then a ton of legalese at the bottom. Not much going on the other side, but again, inconsistent because Scorch, being in that new style of packaging, has a picture of the figure and a run through of some of the accessories, and some blurb there as well talking about plastic free packaging, but the rest have Star Wars The Black Series. Finally, you have a bio on the character and a picture of the character themselves, or in Scorch's instance, picture of the figure, the number of the figure as well, name of the line and media that it's from, as well as a ton of legal garb at the bottom there. Also, note the price point that's listed on Sev, of which we'll be discussing shortly. So that's the packaging out the way and done with. Let's take a look at the figures themselves. So I need to prefix this review by saying these figures are the same, as you can probably tell. Besides a few differences in terms of accessories, backpacks, helmet, and obviously colour, these are effectively just repaints with a few little tweaks and adjustments. The base sculpt is taken from Hunter, and Hasbro have just repainted this figure. If you want to check my review out on that figure, link will be up there in the description. I want you to bear in mind though that this figure was released at £21.99 and came with multiple accessories. Removable helmet, knife, blaster, backpack, another blaster. In total, 5 accessories. These figures only come with 2 accessories each, backpack and blaster, and yet the prices are all vastly different. Boss, of whom was the first one to be released, was priced up at £25.99. Now, I can just about accept this as an exclusive price point for something that's going to be sold online, not really that vastly available at retail. Okay, just about accept it. Next up we had Sev released, and he was priced at £33.99. Fixer, who was the same price as Sev. And finally, we come to Scorch, who comes back down in price to £28.99. How? It makes no sense. This is a running trend with Hasbro at the minute, and it's doing my absolute bonce in, because there's no logic. And this is where I need to go into the figures themselves. As such, their articulation is the exact same as Hunter's, so we'll get that out of the way and done with right here, right now. Ball jointed head, ball joint in the neck, butterfly joints, ball joints to the shoulders, ball joints to the elbows, ball joints to the wrists, ball joint to the torso, ball joints to the hips, swivels at the tops of the thighs, ball hinge at the knees, and ball jointed ankles with the rocker joints. Well, that was easy because they use the same articulation. They're all the same, they're all very poseable, you get them with super cool poses, which is perfect. The only thing to note as well is the fact that they use the Hunter body. It's not entirely accurate to Republic Commandos, because Republic Commandos in the game are a lot bulkier than what they appear on the Hunter sculpt. But Hasbro saw the similarities in terms of the armour type, and they've just kind of cheapintoned out and just reused that sculpt and painted these guys up. Now, I'm not going to go into all the inaccuracies in terms of the armour, because I'm sure there's other people out there that would do a better job of it than me, but just looking at them and compared to the pickies, they're not as chunky as they should be. That's the layman's terms, that's the simplification of it. I get why people would be annoyed by that. With that being said though, they're a lot more accurate to their Clone Wars counterparts. So if that's what you're looking for, then you're going to be pretty happy with these. I don't mind it so much, because they do look good enough. You know, they've got the sculpt there, why not reuse it? But with that being said, I'd be way more satisfied with it if the pricing was there, if the pricing was right. And it's not with most of them. If they were all priced the same as Boss, who was at £25.99, completely get it. So let's get to the individual figures. So here we have RC1138, aka Boss, the first member of Delta Squad to be released by Hasbro in 6-inch scale. Cool to note as well, RC1138 is in reference to THX1138, George Lucas' first film that he ever directed, and so that's what that number is in reference to, other than in canon universe reference to the actual character of Boss. So yeah, Boss, very similar to Hunter from the Bad Batch. We'll just go with some Bad Batch comparisons with this, because why not? The helmet is absolutely incredible. I really love the Republic Commando helmet, and Hasbro's captured that perfectly with all these figures. Particularly the visor on all of them, that deep blue, it's got a lovely shine on it, and particularly when you move it around near light, you know, you've got that lovely glisten. The paint application on it's really good. And if you move all the way around to the back, really nice paint application all over. That orange is really deep. I think they've got the markings pretty accurate as to what it should be. The only thing that kind of drives me a little bit balmy is these shoulder pads, because sometimes you can get them to sit quite nice, other times they just look a little bit out of place. Maybe need the hot water trick on that just to try and get them to be remoulded in the right position. You've got his markings there, little dots. You've got some scuffs and scrapes as well, painted on, which is quite nice. And the backpack, which is removable, it sits in quite nicely, quite snugly. I think what most people say is the Republic Commando blaster, very undersized, and that was one main complaint that people had with the Hunter figure. But it's not too bad. It could be better, could be a bit bigger. I mean, particularly when you think of Republic Commandos, thinking these big lugging weapons, but it works fine enough. I think for me, my biggest complaint from what Hasbro's learnt previously from doing Republic Commandos, particularly in 3/3/4 inch scale, there's certainly a couple of improvements these Black Series ones build from, But something that they've really missed out on detail-wise, which I think is a bit of a big omission really, is the fact that they don't have the, the gauntlet blade that they use in the game. I think that's a really big missed opportunity. I would have loved to have seen some alternative hands with those, so you could have, your characters with those blades drawn. That would have been awesome. I mean, even if it just came with one of them, like Boss, that would have been great. But yeah, that is a bit of an omission, quite prominent on the armour in terms of markings as to where they'd sit, and they've missed that out just because they've gone for reuse. Some might be able to overlook that. For me, that was probably one of the biggest things on this guy and the others really. I know in Republic Commando there's quite a few different weapons that you do pick up throughout the game. Would have been cool to have a pistol with him maybe. Alas, for the price of this one at 25 quid that he was at, happy enough as how it is. He look alright though. He do look alright. He does do the part. He does do the part well. RC1207, aka Sev. This one actually, accessory wise, has a really good improvement from any 3/4 inch one we've had before. Because he actually comes with his sniper rifle. He comes with the weapon that he's good at using. And I'm really pleased with this because it looks like it. But yeah, that he comes with the sniper, one could say is very similar to Crosshairs from the Bad Batch. Granted, would have been nice if there was some more paint on it, particularly in terms of the sights and display. But for what it is, it looks like the blaster that he uses, and I'm really chuffed with that, because that's one of the biggest omissions that other 3/4 inch figures have missed out on, and this figure's done it. They've looked at it, Hasbro's looked at it, and they've said, you know what, we can do better than that. And they did. With that being said, I feel like this is the weakest one for me, just because I don't know, something's not quite doing it. I think it's because Sev typically has an ammo clip on his shoulder, and it's missing that. And that's one thing that really sort of distinguishes Sev, besides, the coloration, the blaster, been included on other 3/4 inch figures. He does have that, at least in the video game. Granted, Clone Wars wise, he doesn't really have that. There's something about it, it's not just the ammo clip, there's something about it that just doesn't quite scratch my itch. And then of course you've got his backpack there, which is quite nicely painted. All them red markings. Can remove that as well. Armour's actually painted grey, if we just move his arms out of the way. I'm not too sure on that. I think maybe it should have been a darker grey. There's just something about this figure, I can't put my finger on it, that just doesn't quite do it for me. It could be due to the markings. I have heard some people say the markings aren't entirely accurate. Nonetheless, he looks fine. Something about this one compared to the others that just makes it for me the weakest. I don't know why. The thing about Sev as well that I really find quite interesting, in the game, he goes missing. They lose him off camera.
Boss, I've got a problem here.
Sev, where are you?
Multiple hostiles.
Lost his signal, boss.
We'll find it again, damn it.
And I think that's what future video games were kind of going to set up. I think they had a couple of ideas as to what they were going to do for him in terms of a sequel. No clue what's happened to him. I mean, technically it's Legends now, but an alright figure. It's not terrible, it's just this one, for me, it doesn't quite do it. Again, 33 quid for this. I think that's probably a major factor that makes me feel really meh about it. And here we have RC1140, aka Fixer. This one's a bit plain Jane on first look, but I do think the green is very, very vibrant, very, very nice. Interesting thing to note about Fixer as well, in his name. Fixer's a bit of a reference to the character Fixer, of whom is Luke's friend in A New Hope, and it was a deleted scene that was cut, but in game he's the Tech, not unlike Tech from the Bad Batch. Yeah, he's got a slightly bigger backpack and some kind of antenna going on there. That is removable. I feel like Fixer's backpack is a little bit more loose than the others. I'm not too sure why. Could be just my copy. Even on the helmet, his helmet's slightly different from the others, in that he's got a little comm device as well. On his chest you've got those two green dots, sort of denoting ranking, I guess. Now you've got a bit of dirt on there. It's kind of a different coloration from the others. Hold down on his leg. You've got some lining there going around his legs. Which is very nice. Again, it comes with the same blaster that Hunter comes with, and we've kind of iterated that it's small. It should be bigger than that really, but it is what it is. I do really like the green. Don't know, something about this guy that just it does it for me. Again, very similar to the other two that we've just looked at. He nice. He is very nice, but grossly overpriced for what he is. I do think he should have come with something else. Maybe some different blasters. Just something. Because 33 quid for this is extortionate compared to other figures that are at that price. Yeah, that fixer for you. And last but not least, we have RC1262, aka Scorch. This one's the one that I've been most looking forward to getting, and it's the last one that we've needed. And I'm super chuffed to have him. I think this one is the most interesting out of all three. I'm not the biggest clone nut ever, but I am slowly becoming one. Scorch is me boy. I remember getting the Saga Collection figure of this guy, and as limited in articulation as that figure is, it's great. And this kind of just pulls at me little art strings a bit because I do like Scorch. He's kind of comparable to Wrecker in that sense. Bit of a demolitions guy, likes destroying things, quite light-hearted as well. And interestingly enough, in terms of the Bad Batch, we have been introduced to Scorch, both in Season 1 and more recently in Season 2, but he's not quite how we would remember him from the game.
Several. The locals have been detained and will be dealt with.
Because in the Bad Batch he comes across quite stern. If you know him from the games, he's wisecracking, he's full of banter.
Did I miss anything important?
No. Did you get the data?
Yeah, they searched me, but I hid the data pretty well.
Where exactly?
You don't want to know.
Roger that.
Kind of interesting to see where he's gone. Naturally, because the game is probably Legends now, it's safe to say. But it's cool to see Scorch in canon in some capacity. But here he is in figgy form, and Hasbro's done. I'm going to give them credit for this one because he is smashing. He is really good. Shouldn't be as good as this. I've not been able to put him down. Really does set the group off completely. With that being said though, if you are looking to just get one, definitely pick this up, and particularly if you are a Bad Batch fan, then this is going to sit really nicely on your Bad Batch shelf. You know, if you put him on any other part of your shelf, let's say, he'd probably look a little bit of a lost part because you'd expect him to be with the other boys, with Delta Squad. But the fact that we've got Bad Batch now, it's kind of like, okay, he can sit on the shelf on his own. So you've got options there. You've got a reason to pick this figure up is what I'm basically saying. So in terms of accessories, you've got his sort of like a modified version of the Republic Commando blast that you see. It's kind of got like a grenade launcher thing on there. So it's good to see that Hasbro actually gave him, you know, his signature weapon. That's something I can't really fault him with these guys. All the right weapons in the right places. Then his backpack is a bit more chunky than the others. That does sit in quite nicely. Does come out. Just the paint application on this guy is really awesome. Scorch was always quite the unique looking one out of the group, just because it's grey, yellow. We've kind of got a bit of weathering on there as well in terms of the paint chipping that we've seen prominent on the others. Then on his leg, that was something I was worried they weren't going to include, but they did. They've even put the little triangular marking on those canisters. So, yeah, that's really cool to see. In terms of the 3 3/4 inch version, the first time they did it in Saga Collection, they included that. And then when they did the super articulated one, I guess, in 3 3/4 inch, they didn't. They left that off. It's also interesting to note that rather than going for a deep black like they had done with previous 3 3/4 inch figures, with the 6 inch one they've gone for a more charcoal grey. But yeah, paint application, just he looks really does look set off. Definitely my absolute fave out of the group. Yeah, it's cool to have them all together, but this is the cherry on the cake for me. I think price-wise, decent. I can just about justify 28 quid for this. Because, you know, they've included that. Quite a bulky backpack. He looks pretty accurate, you know? For me, at least. For me. yeah, that's Scorch for you. So that's my review of Delta Squad. I think these Black Series figures are pretty good. It's just, again, I know I've said this a lot, pricing on them is all over the place. And I think one of the biggest problems as well is with this assortment is the fact that the time frame to get them, it's been very wide stretch over what feels like 2 or 3 years. I've been really itching to have a complete set so I can sit down and review them all together, get my full thoughts on the full set and individually, rather than making the same video about what is essentially the same thing. Overall, I think accessories, they could have all come with a bit more accessories. Maybe not so much Boss because he's priced relatively well, given the price that particularly Sev and Fixer are at. £33 RRP, come on now Hasbro, that's a joke. And they should have come with more accessories. They should have had like an accessory build-up pack with them. Maybe some pistols or a Trandoshan shotgun. Just something extra to go with these two particularly because the price that you're paying. But really, again, I think accessories is the big thing for me that pushes value for money. And how hard is it just to include some additional hands with, you know, like I said, the blades sprung out. And then with Scorch, I think Scorch, you know what, fairly priced, fairly priced, and that could just be because I have a soft spot for him potentially. It depends on your mileage. I would say if you're just literally looking for a representation of a Republic Commando to sit on your shelf, Boss is the one to go with, or maybe even Scorch, because Scorch you can have on your shelf, and like I said, he goes with your Bad Batch crew. The other two, if you're going to go for the full set, try and get these two less than RRP, way less than RRP, because they're not worth the RRP at all. It depends on your mileage, it depends how much of an affinity you have with Republic Commando. I remember elements of it playing the game at my friend's house, and that was one of the many doorways as well really that got me into Star Wars. For me, these figures are a great representation of that. Some of them actually build upon some of the elements that some of the 3 3/4 inch counterparts missed out on, but at the same time they also fall short of them as well. Which is really surprising because at this point you would have thought Hasbro would have been able to just get it right 100%. Let me know what you guys think. Have you picked these guys up? Are you planning to? Have you passed on any of them? Thoughts, feedback, lamentations as well at the fact that you might have missed out. Pop them down in the comments down below and let me know what you guys think. So this is me, Daniel East 1000, signing out, and thank you very much for watching.